Hi there, first grade readers. How are you doing today? This is Ms. Rhodes with today's reading lesson. Today's lesson is going to be a little different than just reading a book aloud to you. Today, I'm going to introduce you to a reading strategy that good readers use. Now, a strategy is just a way to think to do something or to solve a problem. So when you're a reader, the strategy you need is some way to think about how to figure out a word you don't know. That's what a reading strategy is. You already know some reading strategies. Like in kindergarten, you learned to look at the illustration or the pictures. That's a strategy. That's a way to think as you read to help you figure out a word you don't know. Today we're going to talk about other words, how to use other words in the sentence, the picture, or the first sound or two of a word to help you read a new word. In my book, I've covered up some of the words. These covered words will be the words I will use to show you what good readers do when they come to a word they don't know. We'll call this activity Figure Out the Covered Word, because that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be using a strategy to figure out the covered word. The first thing you want to do when you're stuck on a word is put your finger on that word. That helps your eyes go to that word and your mind be concentrating on that's the word I'm trying to figure out. The next thing you do, the most important thing, is to think. As you're figuring out that word, you're thinking, well, what word would make sense? Because the word that I need to figure out has to make sense and sound like talking at that point in the sentence and the story. Another thing a good reader does is they look to see how long the word is. If it's a great big huge word, maybe it's hippopotamus. If it's a shorter word, maybe the author just used the word hippo. I'm still focusing on thinking what makes sense, the right size, and then I'm going to listen. Listen to the first sound. I'm not making all the sounds of the word. I'm getting my mouth ready to make that first sound. So I'm thinking while I start to make that first sound and see if that can help me figure out the word. Then I can look more closely at the word. Look for other letters or parts that can help. I'm still not going through every sound of the word. I'm just looking for parts I know and the first letter, or maybe the ending letter. After I think I've figured out the word, then I'm going to ask myself, does that word work? Does it make sense and sound like talking? The right size? And have the right letters to make the sounds of that word. Then I'll reread that sentence to make sure the word I figured out works in the sentence. These are the steps you're going to use when you try to figure out a new word. These are the steps we'll be practicing today when I read my book out loud. So as I read the story, we're not concentrating so much on the story part, but more on what strategies can we use when we get stuck. Remember, we're going to want to think what word would make sense there. We're going to want to look to see how long the word is in the book that I don't know. That can help. And then I'll also look at the first letter or two, or other parts of the word that can help me figure it out. After I've done that, and I think I have the word, I'll check to make sure the word that I figured out makes sense, is the right length, has the right first letter and some other parts, and makes sense. And I'll reread the sentence to be sure. Let's try those strategies now with this book called Splash, Plop, Leap. Splash, Plop, Leap. The author is Marjorie Sigmund, and it's illustrated by Judith Moffett. We'll read books this fall illustrated by Judith Moffett. It was a good day to go to the... I'm pretending I don't know this word. Let me think. Let's see. It was a good day to go to the... Looks like they're at the park, or maybe they're at the lake. There's a dock here where we keep our boat. Dad calls that the beach. So it could be park or lake or beach. Let me look. It starts with a P. The P sound goes P. What word makes sense there and starts with P? It could be park. Oh, it could be pond. You could call a lake a pond. So now I'll look at the whole word closely. No, it can't be park. That would have a K or a C at the end. I bet it's pond. Yep, Makes sense, right size, has the right letters. It was a good day to go to the pond. That word works. I figured it out. 5 ducks blank. What are they doing? Oh, I'm going to finish and see. Get more help. 5 ducks blank to the pond. Let's see. 5 ducks go to the pond. It could be the word go. No, go is just 2 letters. It's way too short to be in that spot. 5 ducks see. Oh, look at their eyes looking down at the water. I bet it's see. 5 ducks see to the pond. Oh, you don't see to the pond. That won't work. 5 ducks fly. That's what it is. I bet it's fly. Let's see. It starts with the right letters. FL goes full. 5 ducks fly. Yes, 5 ducks fly to the pond. I think I've... Uh-oh. Fly ends with an I sound. This word does not. Fly should have like an I or maybe a Y like in the word my. So it's going to mean the same thing as fly. Start with, 5 ducks flew to the pond. That word is flew. I figured it out. They went in for a cool swim. 4 turtles blank to the pond. 4 turtles go to the pond. No, go is too short. 4 turtles went to the... Went is also too short, even though it makes sense. 4 turtles splashed. Look at, maybe they're going to splash, you think? 4 turtles splashed in the pond. You don't splash to a pond, you splash in the pond, so it can't be splashed. I can't figure it out. I better look at these first letters. It starts with a cur, a C and a R. They, I know, maybe they creep to the pond. What else do turtles do that starts with cur? 4 turtles crawl. So it could be creep, it could be crawl. Let me look. 4 turtles crawl. I think this could be crawl. It has the right sounds. Crawl, and then there's a ul, has a cur and the ul. And then it has that ed ending. So it's crawled. I'll read the whole sentence. 4 turtles crawled to the pond. Yep, that works. Now the next page. They plopped into the pond. The ducks swam away. 3 frogs hopped to the pond. They blank. I need to think. They blank into the pond. What did they do? It looks like they jumped, didn't they? They jumped into the pond. I think that would work. Or you could say they swim into the pond, but swim would be too short, and go, definitely too short. So I think it's swimmed. I think it's jumped. They jumped into the pond. Let's look. It starts with an L. Jump starts with a J. This starts with a ol sound. I've got to think of a word that means the same thing as jumped, but starts with that ol. So I'm going to look at some more letters now. An E goes They sometimes an E makes its own name as a long sound. It goes E. They I'm not sure. I'm going to have to look closely. There's that ED. They leaped into the pond. It means the same thing as jumped, but it has to start with a ul, so it was leaped. They leaped into the pond. The turtles swam away. I figured it out. Now this one, 2 blank went to the pond. Look at that long word. Can you figure out what it is? It's either going to be crocodiles or alligators. I'll just look at the beginning. 2 alligators, I bet. Sure enough, it's got the right alligators, ends with an RS. Yep, I got it. 2 alligators went to the pond. What's going to happen when they get in the pond? They splashed into the pond. The frogs swam away. Good thinking, frogs. 1 boy walked to the pond. He blank. What are I going to say? He fished. He had a picnic. I better read more clues. he blank 5 ducks. So I can think what word makes sense. Oh, and it's a short little word. Oh, I bet it's he sees 5 ducks. Because he can. He can see 5 ducks and 4 turtles and 3 frogs. So I think that word is see. I'll check. See, oh, I know the word see. It's one of our word wall words. This isn't see, but it must mean the same thing. He saw 5 ducks. That word is saw. He saw 5 ducks and 4 turtles and 3 frogs. Then he saw 2 alligators. And I bet you know what he's going to do now. One boy ran all the way home. Not surprising, is it? Did you enjoy that book? Mostly we were focusing on figuring out words. So now I'll just read it straight through. But I want to make sure that you remember when you're reading and come to a word you don't know that you can do just what I did with this book. You can think about a word that would make sense in that spot in the sentence. Look how long it is. Look at the first letter or maybe 2 letters up to the vowel. Or maybe you'll kind of notice what's at the end or find a chunk in the middle you know. But you're not going to make all of the letter sounds. You're just going to think, look at the size, and use the first letter or 2. And then, when you think you figured it out, check, make sure it makes sense and sounds like talking, and reread that sentence. Splash, plop, leap. It was a good day to go to the pond. 5 ducks flew to the pond. They went in for a cool swim. Splash. 4 turtles crawled to the pond. They plopped into the pond. The ducks swam away. 3 frogs hopped to the pond. They leaped into the pond, and the turtles swam away. Leap. 2 alligators went to the pond. They splashed into the pond. The frogs swam away. 1 boy walked to the pond. He saw 5 ducks and 4 turtles and 3 frogs. Then he saw 2 alligators and 1 boy ran all the way home. That's a cute story. Well, thank you for listening. I can't wait to hear you read out loud and hear you using those strategies to figure out words when you're stuck.